Heyo, what's crack-a-lackin' J-Fam? I'm your host, James Morelan. Welcome back to a brand new video. In this video, we're talking about photography. So, this video is going to be about my Sony A7 Mark III. So, I recently just picked up this camera. I actually got it a week or two ago. And I've been using it a lot. I've done multiple photo shoots both at night and also during the day. So, I've had some experience with this. And you guys are going to see a lot of example photos. That's basically what this video is going to be about. But yeah, this is my first full-frame camera. This is part of Sony's professional lineup of their camera gear. I'm honestly in love with it. So every couple years, I decide to get a camera at the beginning of the year. About 2 years ago, I decided to get the Sony A6000. And a couple years before that, I picked up the camera I'm filming with right now, the Sony A5000. So yeah, I've had like a mix of different cameras. I did sell my Sony A6000. I also sold most of the lenses with it, and that's how I paid for this. I also sold my gaming PC and some other things because this camera was pretty expensive. I did an entire unboxing video, but that's on my unbox channel. You guys can check it up in an iCard up in one of these corners. And yeah, I've been shooting with it. I've done so many different types of photos, although most of them are portraits, but I've done so many different styles, so many different locations, so I have a lot of those example photos, and most of them are going to be shown on screen right now. You can also check out my photography Instagram at james.morelan. You can see all my work there. I also have some behind the scenes on that page. So before I bought this camera, I was debating on which style to go to. There's the Sony A6400, and that's a very popular camera, but it's still on a different level of the cameras. And I was considering purchasing it, but then I talked to my mom and she said I should go more professional because I'm not just doing YouTube videos anymore. I'm doing more client work, whether that be car dealerships, portraits, commercial work other than that. And I want to go with a full frame camera, and full frame basically just talks about the size of the sensor. So the size of the sensor is much larger, about 1.5 times larger than the size of the sensor on that camera. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it does let in more light, and this camera has some other features that are way better than the smaller body cameras. So yeah, I was thinking about getting a full frame camera, and then I was thinking about going with the A7 Mark II or the A7R2, which are still very expensive cameras, but they're cheaper, and I was thinking about getting those. But those were a couple years old cameras. Their autofocus wasn't the best, and that's a big thing with me. I love having things in focus. Hopefully this camera is in focus. I can barely see. Am I in focus? Oh, I hope this video has been in focus. That'd be horrible. Another feature about this camera is it has IBIS, which is in-body image stabilization. And basically what that does is the sensor that I just showed you, basically it's able to stay still, and if I move the camera, the sensor moves itself. So while I move the camera, it's staying stationary basically. And that works on 5 axes. So if I move the camera a little bit like this, the sensor doesn't move with it, it actually moves, it stays still basically. So I'm able to move it while the sensor stays still, and it's really cool. So there's something similar with that in the lens. So the lens is stabilized, the body's stabilized, and it just makes super buttery smooth footage. And if you've watched my videos before, you know sometimes I shake a little bit, so you know, sorry about that. But this camera helps cope with it, and it also helps when it's paired with a gimbal. I did want to go with the newest version of the camera, the Sony A7 III, even though there's a couple different versions, but those are way too expensive, and this was already super expensive. So the bang for your buck on this camera is amazing. I've already produced such high quality images. You can also check out my stock photo website if you want to see some of those down below. Just everything all together. I'm very excited that I have this camera. The only full frame lens that I have is the 50mm lens, and this has been great for portraits, but I just ordered the 16 to 35 f4, and that lens is going to be great for those wide shots because I personally love wide shots. I mean, narrow shots like this do work, but I mean, wide shots just are so much better. I would be filming with this camera right now, but because you know, I'm talking about I want to be able to hold it. Unless I order 2 of them, and then I could film with one and then hold the other one, but that would just seem like a waste. One downside to this camera is it is using a newer battery. And this battery does not work on this camera that I'm filming with right now. With my old Sony A6000, they were actually interchangeable, so I wouldn't have to buy different batteries, but unfortunately with this camera, I will have to do that. Bummer. The build quality for this camera has been so great. The heft to it just feels so great. The eyepiece that I'm able to see out of just is so perfect. So I'm falling in love with this. Every day I'm taking pictures. I told my mom and my sister before I bought the camera, I was like, after I buy this camera, I'm going to have to take at least 1 picture a day to make it worth my while to be able to buy it. So I have been keeping up with that. You can also check out my Instagram. Again, it'll be linked down below if you want to see all the photos I've taken, and they've just been so epic. I even used this camera to take a photo of myself. I put on a tripod, used a little trigger remote, and I was able to take a photo. But yeah, another thing I love about this camera is all the buttons. There are so many buttons on this camera. You're able to change those, and I've already set them up to do custom things. One of them turns on the eye tracking for autofocus. The other one changes the focus mode so I can shoot in manual a lot easier. I won't have to go through the menus, which is awesome. This camera also does 4K at 30 frames per second or 24. If you watch my recent documentary, oh yeah, I did make a little documentary too. Let's talk about that. So I did make a little documentary about TikTok. It's on this channel. You guys can check that out. I did film a major portion of this. Actually, wait, no. I filmed all of it with this camera. I think I filmed at 60p, but I converted it into 24 at 1080. So the quality was amazing. You can check it out. I also used the 50mm lens and the one that's on this camera right now. And it turned out very, very well. I had a lot of people saying that the quality was good. I just have to work on the audio. So yeah. Also, if you're a viewer of this channel, let me know what you thought about the documentary. I'm thinking about doing more videos that style, but on this channel I might change it more to vlogs and more photography stuff because this is one of my biggest passions. I know I have another channel called Challenger Wild and that's my fish passion, but I mean this is also another big passion of mine. So if I can have different channels about different passions, that would be the dream, just because there's so many things that I love to do in life and I want to capture all of those and share those to everyone. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Check my Instagrams out down below. I love you so much. See you in the next video.